Hey, welcome back, guys. We're on a couple of OBSs today. That's right, we're on both the OBS trucks today, so this should be a fun one. We're gonna try to get through this as quick as we can. We've got a couple of things going on the bare metal single cab OBS. We're hoping to have it done sometime end of next year, maybe, probably SEMA of next year is what we're planning on. What we're doing today on it is we're gonna swap out the billet hood hinges. I've actually already got those swapped out. That's just a direct swap. I'll show you the hinges, so no reason to waste any time showing that. But we have to trim out the pockets in our engine panels that we had already made for the factory hood hinges. Now that we're running with these, we got to change some things up a little bit. Also, with our carbon fiber hood and our engine panels, we've got a few little clearance issues with the bracing on the front of the hood. So we're going to clearance that out, see what we have to do there. And the reason we're doing all that is, hold right there, is this. This is 1/2 of our 3D printed grill. So if you check out our rendering, we've got a really bitchin' front end on here. Eric Brockmeyer did the rendering on this. We've got the one-off front end design, and we're gonna try to start making that a reality now. So that should be really cool. Maybe we'll even get to the point where we produce a couple of these if you guys want them. We're talking about it. So what we're doing at the moment is we've got 1/2 of this printed. So my buddy Brian Fuller, if you watch me on Car Fix or anything television related, you probably already know who Brian is. Well, Brian has a huge 3D printer, so we're definitely going to utilize him and his capabilities to be able to print without us having to go buy a $100,000 printer. We're going to let him do that work for us. So we've got that design. We sent it over to him. His guys have scanned the factory grill we sent and basically started to kind of create that design that we sent over to him. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually make this fit the truck as perfectly as we can. What that means is where this curve is, this is where the headlights would have been. This curve wraps around, meets the fender right here. And what Brian did was he printed this long. So what I'm going to do is go in, shape all this up, filler work it, whatever we need to do, get it gapped out where it's super nice. We're also going to draw out where we want our headlights to be, get all that on there for them so they can basically take that over into the print. Then we've got the center kind of body line section right here. I might want to peak that a little more. If we do that, we'll just filler work it. We'll block that out. And then I've got some 1/4 inch trim on the way that you see in the rendering. Looks really good. I'm going to try to see if I can get that trim roughly laid out where I want it to be on the grill. That way they can take that, put it in the design to recess the print a little bit so our trim will sit down in there. And then once we get all the headlights and all that stuff done, we'll send Oracle Lighting the scan of the new grill once it's printed, and then they can build the headlights for us. So a lot of moving pieces involved in this to make this one-off custom front end on the truck. It's definitely gonna make it though. It is such a cool design. I can't wait to do it. So anyway, that's kind of what we got going on with this one today. So I'm happy to have this here. I have kind of held it up there. For the most part, it looks like it fits pretty good. So the reason that we're trying to get the hood to make sure that it all fits like it should now, the new hood hinges, the hood latching, all that good stuff, is we also have to fit that front of that hood where it meets the grill. We got to fit all that up and make sure that's nice too. So. And we may have to build a panel over the front just for our mounting, so they'll go ahead and have an idea for our mounting when they make that print. And Brian does have a new CNC machine over there. So, maybe it could be made out of aluminum, I'm just saying, I don't know yet. So anyway, that's what we've got going on with this one. On the red OBS, we're in the middle of this interior kind of thrash that you guys have probably been seeing me post about a little bit. We've talked about it a lot. I've got a few little panels to make for the headliner. I've already started that. So we'll get all that done because we basically have to work from the headliner down in this truck. So Joey's coming back with the amp rack to get all that in. So when he comes back in a few days, I want to make sure I've got all the panels that have to go in before that amp rack done, which is a lot to do. We're going to see if we can do it. We'll also go over a little bit the interior door handles and the OBS. This has got the 95-ish interior in it. We're going to have to pull those out so we can paint the plastic part of that. So if you've ever wondered how to get one of those out of there and actually remove the locks and everything out of it, we're gonna go over that too. So we got a lot happening in this one. Should be pretty fun. So let's get after it. All right, so now that we've got the hinges done, they're adjusted, we've got the pockets cut out. That way that's clearing the hinges. Had to go back and clear a little more because when we go to build the pocket, obviously we're adding a little bit of material there. So we've got all that clearing nice. Got the hood latching, we got our gaps looking good. So now we're taking what Brian printed for us and we're gonna try to fit this to the truck. So like I said before, it's oversized a little bit. So we're gonna trim it up. We're gonna add filler where it needs to be shaped a little better, where it needs to be gapped a little better, anything like that. That way they can scan exactly what fits the truck. So we're gonna try to figure out a way to secure this roughly where I want it, and then we're gonna start looking at trying to trim this out and start fitting this to the fender. We've got trim, we gotta figure out our headlights, so we got a lot to do here. Looks cool though. All right. All right, that's kind of a rough end, so we're gonna pull a tape line, make those cuts. If we cut too much, not a big deal, because we can just filler work back to it, but I'm gonna try to sneak up on that and see if we can start fitting that in there. Hopefully this curve transition is right and it'll actually go into the fender. All right, so on this lower valance piece between the bumper and the grill, we've got these little tabs, and that's what actually holds the grill in. This pops into there, there's a little tab, catches on the grill. So this one's really fragile. It's already got a couple broke off of it. So we're gonna end up having to replace it. But what I'm doing is, since this one is broken, we need to keep test fitting. I'm repairing this tab. Now since this is plastic, I'm using one of these plastic welding guns. We've got these little staples. You can see I've already done this side right here. Basically what this does, goes in the tip of the gun. Really handy tool to have around. When you pull the trigger, these heats up the staple, melts it into the plastic. So we're just gonna hold it in place right there. We're gonna pull the trigger. Melts in. Now we're gonna let that cool. Once it cools, that plastic hardens back up. And there, we've welded it together. Just going to put a few of these in it. Hopefully it'll hold long enough for what we're doing, but these actually work really well. I've repaired a lot of plastic pieces with these and always holds up pretty good. Oh man, I'm so turned upside down and I'm confused. I don't know where I'm at in the videos. So what's basically going on right now is I'm thrashing on the red OBS trying to get it to battle in Bama while I'm doing all these videos. And it kind of hit me today that everything's just starting to run together. So what we've been doing on the single cab OBS is we're able today to get all this to fit up, which looks good. We used our Evercoat filler. We gapped it out to the hood where we've got a nice tight gap where a lot of the OBSs have a big gap. A lot of times there's a panel in there that can screw to the top of this. Obviously we can't have anything like that, so we got to figure out a panel to go on the inside. We bent up the trim, just a test piece to make sure it was going to make the bends where we wanted it to before we go any further. So I've got some trim on the way so we can bend up the whole piece. Now if you check the rendering out, you can obviously see how this is all going to look, how our headlights are going to look, the blinker, the grill, and all that. And since I've posted this on Instagram and Facebook, which has already millions of views, which is unbelievable. We posted the first day fitting it up, doing a little test fit, and then doing the filler work, and I think we're up to 3 or 4 million views in just a few days on that stuff, so that's really awesome. And one reason I brought that up is one thing I noticed, a ton of the comments were, how are you gonna get airflow? What about the airflow? Airflow, it was a lot of those questions. This is a full 3D print, but this is a complete mock-up piece. This is only to fit this to the truck to figure out if it's all gonna work, where we needed to trim, where our grills are gonna go. So the surface area of the grill is almost the same as a factory grill. So we're gonna be getting pretty much the same airflow that we were getting before. So all of this section in between the green tape, that's a grill insert. So that'll go away. There'll be like a mesh type grill that's gonna be in there, and the trim's gonna surround that, and then we'll have the headlights and the blinkers over here. So just a half piece to get it fit. Once I finish up the trim, I'm gonna finish marking this up, and then we'll be able to send it back out to Brian. He should be able to print the whole thing, and then we can retest fit it back into this truck. Now, since we have built engine panels in here, where the core support is, that's obviously not the same as an original truck anymore. So when I build the inner panels, all that stuff's gonna be different. So many questions on if we're gonna produce these. Possibly. We're talking about that, probably be kind of a limited run type of thing. But I think so. So what we're gonna have to do with that though is I'm going to finish this up. We're gonna get it to fit this truck. Hopefully I can get Brian to print 2 once I get all of this figured out. We'll refit another one to the red OBS truck right behind us, which still has the factory core support and all that. And then I'll just kind of make sure that these are going to fit a stock truck. So what I did luckily we had the red one, and then Bob has an OBS, so we could measure all these different trucks, and we were getting the same measurements everywhere. So feel pretty good about, it should be a pretty good fit on another truck. We'll probably kind of, if we decide to do that, push that more as a professional installation only type of thing, but I'm not sure. We're probably gonna change it up too, because I want this to be a one-off piece for this truck. So we may change something up a little bit if we end up deciding to do that. But I had a lot of people ask, so I figured I would address that. But we got a lot done. We got it all test fit. To be honest with you, with the way the videos are running together, I don't know if there's any red OBS stuff in in this video or not. So sorry about that. I'm lost. The show's next week, so I'm working late nights right now. So we got all this finished up. I'm happy with the way it looks. The Muncie Speed carbon fiber hood, also really cool. You can lift this thing with a pinky. It's super, super light. We got the pockets done for the billet hood hinges, so all that stuff looks good. So we made good progress on this truck this week, and I'm really happy with it. As soon as that trim comes back in, we'll hop back over on this. We'll do another video where we build the whole half of this trim, and won't be able to do anything with the headlights right now, but Oracle's going to work on that for us as soon as we get it all finished up. So anyway, as always, I appreciate you guys watching. Appreciate all the support. You guys have been really, really nice, and appreciate all of the t-shirts. Man, you guys have worn that out too. So we have a ton of t-shirts over on the website. So the link will be in the description below, so go check that out. And I'm not sure what the next video is going to be. Probably the Pro Charger accessory drive install on the OBS. Thought that was going to be this video, but I was waiting on the alternator to get here, and that took a little longer than we thought. So that might be the next one, and then I'm hoping the one after that's probably Battle in Bama, and then we're going to do a payoff shoot with that interior build and cruising around in the red truck. So we got a lot of cool stuff coming up. Anyway, see you guys on the next one.